these bones live? You see they're dry. You see there's no marrow in the bone. You see they're scattered all over the valley. They ain't even full skeletons. I mean, the bones are scattered all over the valley. They're just bones. But answer me a question, Ezekiel. Can these bones live? Ezekiel answers the only way he knows how to answer. Lord, you know. Critical race theory was born out of critical legal theory. Am I teaching y'all something today? There emerged two common beliefs linking all critical race theories. First, white supremacy has subordinated black people and other people of color. That's just a fact. How in the world are you going to fight against that being taught in any school? White supremacy has subordinated black people and other people of color. That's a fact. Why don't you want that to be taught in school? You let your schools teach us that Columbus discovered America. That's a lie. You let your schools teach us that George Washington couldn't tell a lie. That's a lie. You let your schools teach us that some slave owners were beneficent and good slave owners. There were no good slave owners. Anybody who owned people was evil. That's a lie. You let your schools teach us that Abraham Lincoln was good for Negroes. No, Abraham Lincoln was trying to save the Union. And Abe Lincoln himself said if he could save the Union and keep black people in chains, he would do it. That's a lie. Come on, somebody. You let them teach us about a white Jesus. You let them teach us that Native Americans were the aggressors. Come on, somebody. That white folk had a manifest destiny and that the Pilgrims were good to Native Americans. That's a lie. All day, every day, you let them teach us lies. All throughout my history in school, I was taught lies. But you got a problem with critical race theory because it teaches the truth that white supremacy has subordinated black people and people of color. The right to bear arms. Let me just back up a little bit and let me take you on back to the late 1960s when Ronald Reagan was the governor of California. And they were oppressing black folk, and a group of men and women known as the Black Panther Party decided that they were going to defend the rights of black folk. And the Black Panthers decided that the Second Amendment wasn't just for white folk. So they strapped themselves with guns and showed up at the Capitol in California. And when they saw them Negroes with guns, come on, somebody. That's why I say if you ever really want to get gun laws changed, just strap all these Negroes up. They'll change them laws before the week is over. When the Black Panthers, watch this. I want you to read. The California legislator passed what was called the Mulford Act. It was a gun control act that decided who could get guns, who couldn't get guns, what could be in your background, what couldn't be in your background. It was the first time in history that the National Rifle Association, the NRA, supported restrictive gun legislation, all because black folk had the nerve to get strapped. Look at your neighbor and say, neighbor, go get strapped. Amen, somebody. Y'all gonna say Bishop told us to get strapped. I said it. Go get strapped. It just got real quiet up in here. But y'all already know I'm a triple P. Amen. Y'all know what a triple P is, right? A pistol packing preacher. Amen, somebody. Hey, family, what's happening, y'all? Happy Friday. I got to get my Twitter and Instagram on. Y'all already know what it is. A brother can't, I can't let y'all in on the jazz at the beginning because Facebook be tripping. Y'all already know what it is. Let me get the Twitter space in. There we go. All right. Let me get the gram on. Peace to the gram. The gram is on. Uh-oh. They ain't got me blocked for no reason today. You know, they be tripping, y'all. They be for real tripping. So today we talking about staying out of black people's business, which it seems to be hard for the world to do. All right, let's get it. Rep your city, rep your town. Let me know where you're chiming in from. Good morning to everybody from everywhere. Got a little Otis Redding in the background. Y'all already know how we do on Fridays. All right, there we go. I see you, LA, in the building on the gram. I'm gonna let y'all have it. Good morning. Good morning. 413-736-2781. Let me get the number up. There we go. Florida Eastern Jurisdiction. What's happening? I see you, Pensacola, New Jersey. I see you, Houston. Double and triple Houston. Happy Friday, everybody. Happy Mother's Day weekend. Oh, a lot of crazy stuff happening. All right, let's see who's up in here. Good morning, Regina. Let me see who's in my YouTube church. But it's all so easy. I can't let y'all. I can only let y'all have that in small doses. Don't tease her. Try a little tenderness. All right, y'all. Come on, let's get it. Let's get it now.
But the essence of growth has changed. The being in the road would be the end of the road if you refuse to change. Reach a little higher, reach a little higher.
Dig a little deeper,
Dig a little deeper.
go a little further.
Go a little further.
Don't stop.
Come on, come on, come on. Reach a little higher. Come on, yeah.
Dig a little deeper.
Dig a little deeper. Go a little further. Go a little further. Come on, but don't stop. The essence of life is
Let me
growth.
sign on here, y'all.
But the essence of growth is change.
90.7 WTCC. Good morning and welcome to the Black Love Experience. I'm your host, Bishop Talbert Swan the second. I want to thank Elder Rick Robinson for bringing us up until the 9 o'clock hour with Friday morning inspiration. You can hear Elder Robinson and Deacon Ernie Johnson rotating every Friday morning from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. Bring you that inspirational gospel and spiritual music. Great way to end your work week. And it's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. I think spring has finally decided it's going to stick around for a little bit. A little cooler today than it was yesterday, but I can deal with it. I can live with it. Listen, do me a favor. If you're in our social media space, rep your city, rep your town. If you're not in the social media space and you got to do it by telephone, feel free to call in and rep your city, rep your town. 413-736-2781 is the number here. I got Charlotte, North Kakalaki in the house. I got the 413. The field is representing itself. Chi-Town. I see my baby girl in here. She ain't really a baby girl, but she's my baby girl. I got Happy Mother's Day weekend. Yes, I got the DMV up in the building. I got Pensacola, New Jersey, Eastern Florida in here. Heathrow, West London up in the building. Houston in the building. Greenville, South Kakalaki is up in the house. New York, ATL is in the building. Patchogue, New York. I haven't heard of that, so y'all got to excuse me. Patchogue, New York. Okay. Seattle, Washington. Another Seattle is in the building. Another ATL is in the building. Quebec is in the building. Toronto is up in the building. CT, Connecticut is in here. GA, Georgia is up in the building. Yes, Boston is in here. Raleigh, North Kakalaki is in the building. Another London, England is in the building. All right, that's it. Rep your city, rep your town. Somebody said, don't sing it for us. That's my daughter. She's got to be a smart aleck. Anyway, listen, today, I don't understand why folks always in black people business. Always talking about why y'all always up in our business. So DJ Vlad all up in the video dancing, all up in the business. Um, Dennis Prager, all up in black people business. Doing an interview, they asking him something about Jewish folk, and he started talking about black people. Talking about black people being victims, being told that they're victims. Then a young black man, an airman in the U.S. military, 23 years old. 23 years old. Roger Fortson is his name. Killed in his own apartment on a FaceTime call with his girlfriend. A white woman called the cops and reported that she heard a fight. And then the cop went and knocked on his door. Even though the white woman said she wasn't sure that was the apartment the noise was coming out of. The cop hid from the peephole. He knocks on the door, moves out the way so he can't be seen in the peephole. Now, this man is in the military. Somebody knocks on the door, says it's the police. Then he looks out the peephole, doesn't see anybody. He thinks it's a scam. He thinks somebody's playing games. He gets his gun. He's licensed to carry. He opens the door with the gun pointed down, not at the police officer, and within 2 seconds, the cop kills him. And of course, white folks are jumping through hoops to justify the murder. 413-736-2781, 413-736-2781. Open forum. We're going to talk about all that stuff and whatever else. It's Friday. TGIF. Thank God it is Friday. We finally got here. A lot of bad news happening this week. Some good news as well. But it's Friday. Stay with us. Rep your city, rep your town. Let me know where you're chiming in from. Don't go nowhere. We'll be right back.
You say you sold out because black women are loud and crass. What? And your precious white woman is the epitome of class? Are you so blind that you cannot see? That pale girl child ain't got nothing on me. For hundreds of years we have stood by your side, accepted your flaws and allowed you your pride, bore your children and cleaned up your mess, satisfied your lust and always settled for less. We have stayed in the background and allowed you to lead, trusting in your strength and ability to succeed, never getting the praise and credit we deserve, but having the courage, the will,
and the nerve
for being the backbone that has.
Can I quote the poem, Whitney, since I can't sing?
Kinds of weather. And now suddenly you say we're not good enough for you. We forced you to sell out because the
things we do.
Well, where was that white woman when that white man you hate was cracking the whip? In the boardroom, the warehouse, and on the slave ship. She stood by his side and didn't say a word, waiting for her own chance to
rule and be heard.
And now it's her you turn to and treat like a queen? And me and my sisters you
choose to demean?
Well, hold up, wait a minute, and stop the damn bus. Because there are a few things I need to remind you
about us.
A more beautiful creature
God never made
than an African woman, no matter her shade. High, yellow, red bone, or cocoa brown, we are more than worthy of wearing a crown. Ebony, mocha, or
black as the night.
It is we who have always shared in your plight. We are passionate, spiritual, loving, and kind. A more generous heart you'll never find.
God morning, that mermaid.
The body of a Nubian queen, the hardest working, loving, giving woman you've ever seen. For we give and forgive until there's little left. Then we're forced to put up our guard to avoid your theft. The theft of our hearts and our trust, the very nature of our soul, by our so-called brothers who are just
playing a role.
And you wonder why some of us act as we do? Take a look in the mirror, because the answer is you. It's not enough that the white man has always tried to keep us down, but our own men act as though they'd love to see us drown. And white women have never invited us to join their equal rights struggle. So we're out here alone with a million things we juggle, raising the children that black men leave behind, and dealing with the racism of the daily corporate grind. Damn, it's no wonder some of us are loud. Hell, we're just trying to be heard. In a world where everyone, including our men, ignore our every word. Where are the brothers?
Where are the brothers?
Woman's work, who will protect and stand by us, for we are the salt of this earth. We birthed you, raised you, and showered you with love. It was we who taught you to love your creator. We gave you all.
I see you, Michael, talking about Urkel.
Open your eyes. It is us, your black sisters, not Boderic's kind who rates a perfect 10. And one final word for the sellout to
Claim to be brothers.
when you turn your back on us, you disrespect
Your mother.
Did you hear that? This is a response
To the sellout. 90.7 WTCC. That is a response to the sellout. Y'all know who you is. That's bad English. But it's good preaching. 413-736-2781. 413-736-2781 is the number here. On today's conversation. It's going to be a little bit of everywhere, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. But the overarching theme for today is stay out of black folks' business. You know what I'm saying? Good morning, caller. I'm good. How are you?
I'm okay. Hanging in there, you know. Today's subject was our black men. It seems that once again we, as a culture, our people are becoming a little complacent. I'm not going to say acceptant, but you know, when things happen repeatedly, people tend to get numb to that. And I think
Desensitized, absolutely.
people that aren't black, they are constantly putting us down. And one of the things, you know, we value our black women, but I don't think that we value our black men the way that we should. It's nothing against our black women. We appreciate all the work that they do. But when they're being empowered, they've got to also speak up about the empowerment for our black men, because it seems like our black men are disappearing and just falling to the wayside, that their work is not important. It is important. We need to uplift our black youth, male and female, but the males need those father figures. And I've seen something recently, and I'm not sure if it was from your show, where they had a summit for young black men, or just young men in general, that didn't have fathers. And 600 men showed up, which people were surprised for. And I think we have to start doing that for our young black men. I grew up without a father. He was 26 when he was murdered. He left 5 children behind, and I was passed amongst, you know, my family members, which I'm very thankful for, and women, but raised with women. And I appreciate that. But we need our black successful men, or men in general, to stand up, do good, be heard, and to help and empower our young black men as well.
All right. Well spoken.
Thank you for that you do on speaking out about the injustices that continue to happen. You know, and I also believe in service. I'm a member of the NAACP here in Patchogue, Long Island, New York. I'm also on the Town of Brookhaven Black History Commission. You know, we were the first organization that celebrated Juneteenth in New York. And I recently worked on a project here that with my genealogy. And fortunately, the Mormons created a site called Your Family Tree that I could not believe. After all these years, I've been looking. I'll be 62 this year. I've been looking for just my family's past, my grandparents, and I haven't been able to do that. And this, just in the past few weeks, I have found grave sites. I have found pictures here, because slavery on Long Island was not spoken about, was not hidden. And me, even on a commission and knowing history, never knew this. I literally found my relatives in a site right around the corner from where we live.
Wow, that's deep because what a lot of people don't know, um, um, slavery existed for 220 years in New York State. And matter of fact, I talked about Governor Kathy Hochul and their commission on getting reparations for Jews who suffered during the Holocaust. I said, how are you in a state that had black people as slaves for 220 some odd years, and you got nothing on reparations for black people, but reparations for Jews, descendants of Jews who suffered in the Holocaust in Germany? I appreciate your call this morning. 413-736-2781 is the number. All right, let's start. Okay, let's start. I want to start. Dennis Prager was doing an interview, and they were talking about the man was asking him, how did Jews become successful? How do they own most of Hollywood? Now, if I said that Jews own Hollywood, they would call me anti-Semitic. But if two Jewish people are talking about it, it's okay. He said, how do they own most of Hollywood, and how did it been successful business, yada yada. Now here's the problem with the whole setup of the question. He's saying after all they went through in the Holocaust. Now, the Holocaust happened in Europe, Germany, in Europe. And he's asking him, after what happened to Jews in Europe, how did Jews become successful in America? Two different places. And that's because they were never repressed or oppressed in America. And of course, Dennis Prager brings black people into the conversation. Once again, while we just minding our business, how do we wind up in the conversation? Oh, black people are being told that they're victims. First of all, we don't have to be told that we're victims. We understand the victimization of black people in America. And then he starts talking about how Jewish people are this and that and the other, who never suffered what black people suffered in America. In America, okay? Because they're comparing apples to oranges. Let me let you listen to it, and then I'll talk a little more about it.
A dramatic event that happened to Jews, okay? With the intentions of wanting to eliminate every single Jew on the face of the planet, right? This is what Hitler's vision was, right? Why is it years later, after a crisis like that, what values and principles helped Jews pretty much own Hollywood, do well in business, do well in life?
Oh, I'll tell you, I have the answer
Go for it. Yeah.
They didn't see themselves as victims. It is the most paralyzing thing in black life, what the left is doing to blacks. The left hates you blacks, just you. No, they don't hate you. They have contempt for you. Telling you you're a victim is paralyzing. Jews did not walk around thinking they're victims even after the Holocaust.
Why not?
Because they knew it is completely self-destructive.
How did they know?
I don't know. It's a great, well, maybe because of the Jewish tradition has always been, we take responsibility for our own suffering.
Now let's unpack that. First, he's asking him a question about Jews, and Prager brings black people into it. Black people, they're being told that they're victims. Now, gaslighting at its optimum level is to claim that the condition of black people in a nation that enslaved them, lynched, murdered, raped, brutalized, dehumanized, racially profiled, redlined, mass incarcerated, segregated, everything that has been done to black people from 1619 on to the present time, ignoring all of that, and to say that the plight that black people find themselves in is because they were told by the left that they're victims. Nothing that's actually been done to them has any bearing on their plight in this nation. None of that means anything. You know, the racial profiling, none of that means jack. It's that they're told that they're victims. It's a typical white supremacist talking point that black people, y'all are where y'all are because you think you're a victim. So we just thought our way to mass incarceration. We thought our way. So young Roger Fortson thought his way to being murdered by the police yesterday, or May 3rd when he was murdered. He just thought, because he thought he was a victim, that's why the cop shot him. So we find ourselves in our condition because we think we're victims. This is what this, I'm on the air, so I can't say things. This is what this clown has the caucasity to say about black people on a question that he was asked about Jewish people that black folk ain't had nothing to do with. And Jewish people take responsibility for their own suffering. What the hell does that even mean? How do you take responsibility for what someone else does to you? That don't even make sense. And if you took responsibility for your own suffering, we wouldn't hear you complain so much about what Hitler did. We wouldn't hear you talk about the Holocaust. There wouldn't be Holocaust museums all over the world so that people would never forget and that you could always remind people of the suffering that Jewish people went through if you took responsibility for your own suffering. What you really mean is black people ought to take responsibility for their own suffering because in your minds, whatever suffering we go through, it's our fault. And that's the typical white supremacist talk. Slavery, that's y'all fault. Africans sold y'all. You can't blame white folks for that. You know, some way, somehow, everything that black people go through, they want to blame black people for it. That's what he meant by take responsibility for your own suffering. That nothing that happens to black people at the hands of white folks is the fault of white folks. It's still your fault. So even though Jewish folks owned slaves, owned plantations, owned the slave ships that transported Africans, he absolves them of all responsibility. It's y'all fault. It's kind of like the man who abuses his wife. I just started watching. I know I'm late. I get all these Netflix things late, and I just started watching Family Business. And in one of the episodes, this man slaps his wife, and he says, "See what you made me do?" Blames her for his abuse. This is what white folks have done to black people for time immemorial. See what you made me do? You made us enslave you. Because had those African chieftains not participated in selling y'all, we never would have enslaved you. That's a lie. That's a lie. And it's just the caucasity of them to sit here and have this entire discussion and drag black people into their conversation when we ain't got nothing to do with the entire conversation. The blacks, the blacks, the blacks, the blacks. Keep us out your mouth. Okay? Just keep us out your mouth. Just stay out of our business. We're not trying to get in yours. Heck, we're trying to keep each other out of our own business. But they always up in the mix. Always in the middle of our business. So then you had this other incident with DJ Vlad. Now, for those who don't know,
Why?
DJ Vlad, let me turn that down. For those who don't know DJ Vlad, DJ Vlad, his name is Vladislav Lyboyny. Now, excuse me if I'm butchering his last name. It's a Ukrainian name. He was born in Kiev, Ukraine, to a Russian Jewish family. Okay? And moved to the U.S. So they're all immigrants. He's an immigrant. His parents are immigrants. Moved to the U.S. when he was 5 years old. Matter of fact, he moved right here where I'm sitting to Springfield, Massachusetts. His family moved here to Springfield before they relocated to California. Vlad has made a living off of his YouTube channel off of black culture, hip hop. He was a DJ. He now does interviews of folks throughout the hip hop community. That's how he makes his living. Millions and millions of views on YouTube. He makes buku money doing that. And so he's always in the mix of what's happening throughout black culture. So, you know, he's one of those culture vultures. It is what it is. And here's the thing. What folk outside of our community have to understand, that even when you make a living off of black culture, even when you sell things to black people, even when you produce black people, even when you marry black people, even when you go to a black church, even when you grow up in a black neighborhood, it don't make you black. Okay? Not only does it not make you black, it doesn't give you a license to dip your nose into black issues that you're not invited into. I mean, that's just what it is. There's some things we don't want to hear your opinion on. Oh, so you're saying that a white person can never talk about something that has to do with... What I'm saying is what you all already know. It's kind of like if there's stuff happening in my family, you know, people in my family can talk about it. If you start talking about it, you're going to get checked. Y'all already know the rule. Y'all know the rule. You're going to get checked, because regardless of what I say about a member of my family or about a situation in my family, you can't say it. Not to me, you can't. You're going to get checked and told that ain't your business. Stay out the family business. Y'all already know how that goes. That's what we feel when y'all start dipping your nose into the conversations that are going on amongst black people. And you got to know when to talk and when to be quiet. Okay? You know, I as a pastor, I hear a lot of things that are going on in a lot of people's families and situations. I'm very careful about how I speak concerning those matters, because I know, regardless of if a family is in a feud, is disputing, and I'm not taking the side of one family member against another family member, because at some point they may reconcile and then both be against you. You got to be careful when you're dealing in other folks' business. So, of course, you know, this past week, people have been talking about the rap battle between Kendrick Lamar and Drake. All right. Um, um, and so there's this sister, Morgan Jenkins, a professor, a black professor at Princeton, an Ivy League school, who weighed in, as DJ Vlad was in the middle of this conversation, and she said, "You're white. This is a black affair." In other words, she was saying, "Bruh, we talking, black folk talking. Stay out our business." That's in essence what she was saying. And of course, Vlad took issue with the professor, who's a professor of creative writing, and he says, "Hold up. So a professor is telling me that a white person shouldn't be allowed to voice their opinion about hip hop?" And then he says, "Is that how you interact with your students?" And so there was a back and forth between the two, and Vlad tagged her school, tagged Princeton. Vlad turned into Karen and decided he was going to call the management and was going to try to get her fired. He was going to try to get her fired because he had a disagreement with her on Twitter. Yeah, that's what happened. So my interpretation, after he got dragged by Black Twitter, thoroughly dragged for trying to get this sister fired, Vlad issued a half-hearted apology. This is what he says in his apology. "After considerable reflection, I would like to apologize to Morgan Jenkins for tagging her job in my replies during our Twitter exchange last weekend." Okay. So here's my interpretation of his apology. This is my interpretation. "I got checked by a black woman for weighing in on black issues. I was offended by her uppity disposition and in true Karen fashion, tried to get her fired from her job as a professor at an Ivy League university where I'm sure she had to be a DEI hire in the first place. I received tremendous backlash from the black community, whom I make a living off being a culture vulture who exploits them. So after considerable reflection on the money I stand to lose, I decided to issue an insincere apology for acting like the privileged white racist that I am." Yeah, that's what happened. That's what happened right there. Okay? That's what happened with DJ Vlad. Once again, dipping the nose in black people business and then trying to get a sister fired, calling the manager, trying to use his white privilege. He thought he could use his white privilege to contact this predominantly white Ivy League university and get this black woman fired. Listen, if you all only knew how many times white folks have called my church, called my denomination, called my fraternity, called the NAACP, called the governor, the Senate president, to try to get me kicked off boards and commissions and stuff because they disagreed with me. That's what they do. That's what Karens and Kens do. They call the manager. Then they call us snowflakes. when they can't deal with us speaking truth to power, when they can't deal with confrontation with black folk, I'm going to call somebody and get you fired. I'm going to get your livelihood taken away from you because you're not listening to me and I'm white and I say so. Yeah. Straight no chaser. You're in the space. 413-736-2781. Straight no chaser. Holla at your boy. All right. We'll give him a chance to unmute and get on. In the meantime, 413-736-2781 is the number if you want to chime in on the conversation. So we got DJ Vlad trying to get black women fired. We got Dennis Prager dragging black people into a conversation about how Jews became successful in America after the Holocaust, which had nothing at all to do with America. Then we had this case, this heartbreaking situation. Straight no chaser. I don't know what happened. I put you on the stage. You can put a request back in. Let me pull up the information on this case. I don't want to give you the wrong intel. So this is in Florida. Sheriff's deputies get a call about a disturbance at a Florida apartment complex. And the body cam video has been released in this case. And when you watch the body cam video, the police officer is walking with a woman trying to find the apartment where she thought that she heard this so-called disturbance. It's clear from the video that she wasn't sure that the door the cop was knocking on was the right door. The police officer knocks on the door and he identifies himself. That's not even the dispute. See, you already have white folks trying to justify the murder, saying he identified himself and he shouldn't have came to the door with a gun. They're already finding reasons, as they always do, to justify the execution of black people, the extrajudicial murder of black people. They always will take the side of law enforcement, regardless of what you see on video. It's just like during the George Floyd situation. You watch the video of this cop kneeling on his neck for 9 minutes. You saw this man saying he couldn't breathe. You saw this man going into an unconscious state. You saw what was happening, and then they still said he died of a fentanyl overdose. They will always try to find a reason to justify the murder of a black person. You remember when Botham Jean was murdered by Amber Geiger, the cop who went to the wrong apartment, thought it was her apartment, so she must have been drunk, and then murdered him in his own apartment. Then later on, they came out and said, oh, the police found weed in his apartment. So they did a search after the murder, not of the cop who killed him's apartment, to see what the hell kind of substance she was on where she didn't even know where her apartment was. They searched his apartment and then put out in the media they found weed. Now, weed is legal all over America. And y'all really gonna say this brother having some weed in his apartment is justification for this cop going into the wrong apartment and murdering him? They will find it doesn't, the reason doesn't have to make sense to them. It doesn't have to make sense. They will find an excuse to justify the murder of black people. Ahmaud Arbery jogging. Oh, well, he went into an empty house that was being constructed, so he was probably suspected of being a thief. He was shot and killed by citizens who weren't cops. I mean, they will find an excuse. So this brother is in his house. The cop knocks on the door, says he's the police. But then watch the video. Watch what the cop does. The cop moves away from the peephole. So when the young man looks out the peephole, he sees nobody. Now, you tell me what you would do. If somebody knocked on your door, it's the police, and you look through the peephole and you don't see nobody, you're going to wonder, now, if it's the cops, why aren't you standing in front of my door with your uniform on, showing me your badge or something? What's going on? So apparently he goes to get his gun because he don't know if it's really the cop at the door or not. He don't know if this is the cop. Why is you hiding? If you the police, if you really the popo, why are you hiding? So now keep in mind, he's a senior airman in the U.S. military. Okay? He lives in an apartment 5 miles from the Special Operations Wing where he is based in Florida. The cops know that military persons live in that apartment complex. I want to say that the woman who brought him to that apartment probably knew this black man was a military person. So he's in the military. He's licensed to carry. He looks through his peephole. He doesn't see anybody, and somebody is banging on his door claiming to be a cop. So he bangs on the door again. He opens the door, has his gun in his hand pointed downward, not at the police officer. Now, here's the thing. Watch the video. The police officer doesn't even say, drop your weapon. Within 2 seconds of him opening the door, he opens fire and shoots him several times. After he shoots him and he's on the ground, laying in a pool of blood, dying, he then says, drop the gun, drop the gun. This is a straight up execution. This is a straight up murder. This is the danger of what happens when white folks don't mind their business. They put black people in danger. This is what happens when Karens and Kens see 2 black people sitting in Starbucks minding their own business and they call the police. This is what happens when white students see a black student who is studying fall asleep in the lounge and they call the police because they think the black student doesn't belong there. and trigger-happy, racist white police officers respond to these calls, you put black people's lives in danger. Black people are losing their lives because y'all can't mind your business. Good morning, caller. Yes, you're on the air.
Good morning, Bishop. I hear you loud and clear. And they have put us in danger since we came to this country. Yes, Bishop, and I'm agreeing with you. All of us have been put in danger because it's white fragility. They fear the black man, and that's the bottom line to it. It's a fear of them retaliating because of the strength the black man has. So they need the gun to make them equal.
Absolutely. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Hey Bishop, it's Mia. I tried to get on Twitter, but it's doing like a looping thing. Can you hear me okay? I'm driving.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. So I just wanted to say, Bishop, you better say all of that. Mind y'all's effing business. I'm gonna self-censor. I know you have kids listening, but mind your business. This was a baby. I just recently seen the video. He was a baby, 23 years old, guarding his home. And that is the thing. I know you talked about a myriad of different topics, but it just goes back into the whole Vlad situation. These people use white privilege to cover for so much stuff, and we always bear the brunt of it. That Frager guy said that we don't see ourselves as victims. Yes, we are a victim. This baby was 23 years old. What is the protocol for these cops? And that's another thing. Remember, guys, cops come from a racist KKK background historically in the United States, and we need to thread this needle all the way together. Guys, it is open season, like that first caller stated, on our black men. There's a lot of programs for black women, but we are leaving our black men by the wayside. Young black men. What happens if we have no young black men? We have no race to continue the black American race, and that is its purpose. I mean, prayers go out. I hope they sue the beat out of this police force. What is the protocol for domestic violence? If it's an apartment complex, don't you have to get the actual, the manager, the apartment manager on, asking the hard questions first?
Well, then to also subjectively knock on his door when the white woman who called them wasn't sure which apartment the so-called noise she heard even came from.
Exactly. That's the thing. If the person that is making a complaint is not 100% sure, why in the beat? I'm upset because I'm that upset. Why would you take it upon yourself to be judge and jury, to just go up to a random? And honestly, I don't know if it was random because he was in the military. He's a young man.
And I'm sure she knew a black man lived there.
Oh, she knew. She definitely knew. And that's the thing. Karen, think about think about Emmett Till, who caused his lynching. Karen, guys, we have to thread that needle all the way through.
Oh, it goes through Emmett Till, the Scottsboro brothers, Rosewood, Tulsa. All of those happened because of a Karen.
Because of a Karen, they have so much blood on their hands. It is utterly ridiculous. I don't even understand how they even think they have the moral fortitude to talk to us about who is a victim and who is not. And back to these conniving Jews. Think about it. The Jews actually financed the chattel enslavement, the transatlantic slave trade. Financed the antebellum slave trade, the domestic slave trade here in America, and the breeding farms. Guys, y'all have to think. Also, this threads into the Aubrey Drake situation. You got to think these Jews had a lot of biracial children that they wanted to see as second in command against Black Americans, but still keep that free workforce. Guys, Jews are not victims. They actually victimize Black Americans, and that's one thing that Black Americans are waking up on, and I think that scares them because Jews are very parasitic to Black Americans here in the United States. Just look at the history. If you see some type of something go down, there is usually a white Jew, behind a Black man or a Black woman, something that's like higher up. Because you got to think they got rich. Hell, they first introduced blackface to Hollywood. That's how they got rich in Hollywood. People don't. Y'all have to think about these things. These, it's very, very. It goes very, very deep. But I don't want to ramble on. I know I talked about a lot of different subjects. But to bring it all back to focus, guys, rest in peace to this 23-year-old baby that just got murdered. I hope we do get the real facts because it is open season on our man. All right, take care, brother.
All right, thank you for your call. 413-736-2781. I feel her passion because that's exactly how I feel. A baby. And, I know he's a grown man, but when you get to my age, I have children that are much older than he is. So he's a baby to me. 23, losing his life, serving his country. Okay? Y'all always talking about patriots. Murdered a patriot, and y'all still justifying it. So even when a Black person is serving this nation, y'all still justify their murder. It's pathetic. Good morning, caller. Good morning.
Oh, hi. No, I really was listening to your show, and I am a white person just from the other side. I gotta say that caller that was saying about the Jewish people with the blackface and all that's totally true. I have just recently been researching that, and and she's right. They do victimize, not victims. But just saying it from the other side, it's not all white people. Like, it's generational and it is economical, because you could just take like your common impoverished Caucasian person. We're right next door. We're going through the same thing.
Well, that is true, but here's another reality though. No. That's not where I'm going. Where I'm going is there are a number of impoverished white folks on the lower side of the socioeconomic scale that people like a Donald Trump have been able to tap into based upon their racism. So one of the most startling things to me was when Trump was running for re-election to see Trump signs in trailer parks. And I'm sitting up here saying, yeah. Well, I'm saying they were Trump signs in trailer parks. I'm like, so he's giving tax cuts to rich folk and dirt poor people. He resonates with them because of his racism.
Yeah, and that's a politician thing. Fear gets votes. That they corner that every year, and they know how. And that's what he's doing with that. And they're always going to be. Those are the wannabe rich racist people of the Transit Party. They're also, I'm just saying, and it's crazy and all, but I'm just saying, from my perspective too, I'm white and I can't drive through Holyoke without getting pulled over. And that is some profiling, and I'm serious. I'm dead serious.
Yeah. It's if we could ever get white folks who are also victimized by the American capitalistic system to band with other marginalized people, other marginalized people, then we can get somewhere. I appreciate your call. I've got to move out your way. Coming up next is mid-morning jazz and great black music. Check me out on Monday on the spoken word at 9:00 a.m. Listen, if you're looking for a place to worship, check us out at the Spring of Hope Church of God in Christ, 35 Alden Street, Springfield, Massachusetts. Coming up next is Don Felton with mid-morning jazz and great black music. He's going to make it smooth, and he's going to make it personal for each and every one of you. So don't go nowhere. Until the next time I talk to you and you talk to me, always remember, God loves you, and so do I. Peace and blessings.